Several areas are now under signal number 3 as Tropical Cyclone Jolina intensifies into a typhoon. The Health Department recorded another all-time high of new COVID-19 infections. Let's check out the preparations for Metro Manila's shift to general community quarantine starting tomorrow. Experts and other officials are against the government's move to lift travel restrictions in 10 countries. And the showbiz industry mourns the passing of celebrated photographer to the stars, Raymond Isaac. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your day. I'm Charles Lejano. The 10th tropical cyclone to enter the PAR named Jolina has intensified into a typhoon overnight. Because of this, parts of Luzon and Visayas are now under tropical cyclone wind signal number 3. These include the eastern portion of Masbate, including Ticao Islands, the extreme western portion of northern Samar, the northern portion of Biliran, and the northern and central portions of Samar. Other areas in Luzon and Visayas are also under signals number 2 and 1. The complete list of these localities are now flashed on your screens. Typhoon Jolina was last spotted over the coastal waters of Santo Niño, Samar. In the next 24 hours, it is expected to bring heavy and intense rainfall over southern Luzon and Visayas. And within the next 12 hours, the typhoon is forecast to move over the Samar Sea before making landfall in the vicinity of Masbate. During this period, Typhoon Jolina may weaken into a severe tropical storm. Metro Manila will be back under GCQ starting tomorrow as the government shifts to a more targeted approach to lockdowns. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro gives us the front seat to the story.
On Wednesday, Metro Manila and several key cities and provinces go back to a relative sense of normalcy as the government begins loosening up quarantine restrictions. The IATF approved the downgrade to general community quarantine for large parts of the country, beginning September 8 until the end of the month. But at the same time, the IATF approved a shift to targeted and focused lockdowns on smaller areas called granular lockdowns.
Magkakaroon po ng pilot dito po sa Metro Manila. At ito po yung tinatawag nga natin na mga localized lockdowns.
Roque says the guidelines for the GCQ will be released later, especially for the new granular lockdowns and the omnibus guidelines approved by the IATF last May 6. The following had been allowed under GCQ. Businesses are allowed 50 to 100% capacity approval of the DTI, but LGUs are allowed to reduce capacity to a minimum of 50%. Minors and seniors are still not allowed outdoors. Entertainment venues still remain closed, but religious activities and necrological services are allowed up to 30% capacity. Only outdoor non-contact sports and exercises will be allowed, and work from home is still encouraged. It is not yet clear if these would remain in effect for this round of GCQ. The shift to granular lockdowns comes as many businesses teeter on the edge of bankruptcy.
Because we know that with the citywide and the province-wide lockdown, it's now guaranteed that there will be no new cases, and it's not really sustainable in terms of socioeconomically.
With the granular lockdowns, officials are hoping to come down harder on smaller pockets of infection while allowing the economy to thrive in the rest of the country. But the shift to a looser quarantine status has left some experts worried, but the DOH is confident that this can be managed through granular lockdowns.
If we can actually do a very fast and intensified testing, tracing, and isolation of active new cases within probably in less than 48 hours, and the transmission will really go down.
I'm Jacob Lazaro, and we are One News.
The Philippines logged yet another record-breaking new tally of COVID-19 cases. This comes after the Health Department reported 22,415 new COVID-19 cases on Monday. The latest tally brought the total caseload of the country to 2,103,000, with some 159,000 of which are still considered active. 103 new deaths were also recorded yesterday, pushing the death toll to more than 34,300. Total recoveries, meanwhile, rose to 1,909,000, with over 20,000 new survivors logged on Monday. The DOH says interventions must be done to dodge the worst-case scenario, new cases hitting an average of 43,000 per day. In an interview here on One News Now, Health Undersecretary Leopoldo Vega said imposing granular lockdowns is a good start. But he also said lockdowns should be accompanied by other methods to identify and isolate infected residents.
We can actually do a very fast and intensified testing, tracing, and isolation of active new cases within less than 48 hours, and the transmission will really go down. And this is the intervention that we would like to push in terms of the lockdowns.
While the palace is branding the start of its granular lockdown strategy as a pilot test, NTF Special Advisor Ted Herbosa says there's nothing new about this lockdown method. He said it shouldn't be treated as an experiment, since granular lockdowns have been proven effective when done right.
Hindi naman siya talaga eksperimento kasi dati nang ginagawa yung localized or granular lockdown sa mga zones miski ng mga nakaraang taon. At in fact, nagpresenta nga doon sa meeting ng kanina ng response cluster yung findings at effect nitong mga localized. At napapahinto talaga nila yung transmission basta properly done at very strictly done at nagagawa yung tandaan hindi lang lockdown, ano? Pag nag-lockdown ka kasi kailangan mag-testing ka at mag-tracing ka at i-isolate yung mga positive. So yun yung important, no? You want to break that transmission.
Some experts and politicians are against the lifting of the travel ban on at least 10 countries. They say the government must learn from its earlier lapses in border control, which may have led to the entry of the Delta variant into the Philippines. Greg Gregorio with the report.
The country has lifted the travel moratorium on 10 countries. The curb was earlier imposed to stop the entry of the Delta variant to the country. But as cases rise, driven by the more transmissible variant, many officials can't help but be disappointed with the move, like Vice President Leni Robredo.
Yung ibang bansa nga, napaka-stricto, di ba? Meron lang siyang pasaherong pagdating doon nag-positive. Sinuspend na. Baka ginagawa din natin yon. Pero ganun din ba tayo ka-stricto?
Some senators also aired their disappointment. Senator Nancy Binay said this will weaken our barriers against more COVID-19 variants. Senator Riza Hontiveros echoed this, saying the administration is just toying with airport policies. But Malacanang defended the decision.
Ang ginawa na lang nating classification, yung mga bansang nasa red classification, bawal po pumasok sa Pilipinas. Yung mga bansa na nasa green at yellow, ang green po, syempre po pwede silang pumasok at hanggang 7 araw po ang kanilang quarantine sa facilities, no, sa quarantine facility. Tapos yung mga nasa yellow po, 10 araw po sa mga quarantine facilities at 4 na araw sa kanilang mga tahanan.
Public health advocate Dr. Anthony Liachon said lifting the ban will just bring additional problems to the already alarming COVID-19 situation in the country.
Hindi naman siya life and death situation. Baka dapat in-extend muna yung travel ban to 2 weeks while we do the granular lockdown. Kasi hindi naman foolproof na kahit moderate risk yan, hindi magdadala ng sakit yan eh.
Case in point, India and Malaysia both take out of the travel ban. The Okta Research Group says the two countries are still seeing a spike in the 7-day average of daily new cases.
We should always have strict implementation of border control so that we don't allow variants of concern or even variants of interest to come in.
More than 2,000 cases of the Delta variant have been detected in the Philippines so far. But for the Health Department, lifting the travel ban is not a cause for concern.
Meron po tayong strict border control kung saan lahat po ng mga dumadating na travelers ay nire-require nating mag-quarantine. Wala po tayong exemption.
For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
Tributes are pouring in for celebrated photographer to the stars Raymond Isaac, who succumbed to COVID-19 last week. MJ Marfori has the story.
Celebrity and fashion photographer Raymond Isaac passed away on September 4 due to COVID-19 complications. He was 59. His brother Edward confirmed the news on social media. He was in San Francisco, California, where he got married to his longtime partner, Jason Vicente, on July 15. On the 24th, Raymond announced that he was rushed to the hospital due to lack of oxygen. Come August, Jason said his husband was transferred to the intensive care unit. On the 6th, Raymond was intubated and sedated. He was already stable on the 28th, but then came the end last Saturday. Several personalities have paid their tributes to Raymond. Z and Lim recalled how the lensman transformed their shoots into a playground where he can just be himself. Lea Salonga shared their 2007 and 2020 photos and thanked him for the kindness through the years. Shaja Padilla went sentimental and remembered their lighthearted moments off camera. For News 5, MJ Marfori, we are One News.
Here are the stories to watch out for later today. The Senate Blue Ribbon Committee will continue its probe into the Health Department's COVID-19 budget. Meanwhile, over at the lower house, the Committee on Economic Affairs will conduct an inquiry into the procurement of COVID-19 vaccines by local government units and the private sector through multi-party agreements. And the PSA is scheduled to release the country's inflation data for last August. And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us again later at 10 a.m. as we monitor the day's biggest stories from sunrise to sundown. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Just register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.